If I talk to you, you promise me I gotta get out of this. I want to get at an airport, you see my TV.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I could have your attention, please. While you're finishing up eating that delicious chicken Rockefeller there, I'm going to get started with the business portion of the meeting. Servers, feel free to continue on, get the plates. You're not going to interfere. Just what's that? Oh, yeah, bring in the dessert. You can't forget a good dessert. What is it? Apple pie out loud? It's a surprise. Oh, it was a surprise. Fluid, sorry.
Upside down apple pie.
Yeah. But thank you all for being so flexible. Obviously, powers beyond our control yesterday kind of limited what we could do. Fortunately, Cisco, our presenter today, he actually came in. I'm calling Mike Garbino Sunday morning. Get a hold of him. We're going to cancel. It's going to be a storm. He goes, it's too late. He came in on Saturday because of the weather. So Cisco's been here since Saturday night, enjoying time in Middleburg Heights and the Hampton Inn. And he was willing to stick around today to put this presentation on for us. Unfortunately, our numbers were supposed to be a little bit bigger. For yesterday, a lot of people couldn't make it. But those of you who were able to flex your schedule, we really appreciate it. And after going out to dinner with Cisco last night, that I think you're going to enjoy his presentation. A lot of good information was exchanged even to me last night. But the minutes from the January 5th meeting from Beechwood Embassy Suites are posted on our website. If we could just get a motion to accept those minutes. Mark Maneri, and I can't see who's the Bob Del Negro. Sorry, couldn't tell from the back of that box. All in favor? Any against? Okay. Treasurer's report, Joe Fleming, if you would, please.
All right. Treasurer's report. We got 13,800 in the checking, 10,000 in certificate 1, 5,400 in certificate 2, 3,900 in savings for a total of 33,332. We're currently at 124 members, and 58 of those are all-inclusive members as of right now. We got more coming.
Okay, motion to accept our treasurer's report. Jim Davis, seconded by Nikki Dansuch. All in favor? Okay. Any against? Okay. Committee reports, FOA, Mike Kokab, if you would, please.
We had a FOA meeting on January 15th in Worthington. A lot of topics came up. They're putting together a committee to look at the Division of EMS and the Fire Inspector program. They're talking about changing that to more model and FBA standard with a 1, 2, and 3 classification. One would be a basic company officer inspector, then move maybe into a full inspector, and then possibly 3 would include a plan review section. So that's looking to get redone. They're going to work on that in the next year. There was talk about the smoke alarm hearing at the RCAC, which took place last week, which I'll have Chief from Mayfield Village expound on that, Gino. And we also talked about changing a little bit of the bylaws in the flow, and what we're going to try to do is we're going to have our charter membership basically of Northeast, Central, Southwest, Northwest, and what's the extra one? fire data exchange with charter members. We're actually changing their applications around, so we'll get officers from each one of those on their application every year. And then we're also gonna change the due structure, that there'll be $1 or $2 submitted with that application for memberships to help it go out. And then anybody who's a member of Northeast is basically a charter member of the so you can come to the meeting, and we'll try to get more information out to the association presidents and vice presidents, so you guys can stay informed. There's a couple things, if you guys aren't aware, they changed the school drills for fire drills, and decreased the school fire drills down to 6, and the lockdowns are up to 3. And that was pushed through the House and the Senate, and the governor signed it at the end of the year. So make sure you check into that. I can give you the bill number if you want more information. There is talk of the lockdown drill still. Kate's working on that. There's supposed to be a meeting next week between the Department of Commerce, the Attorney General, and the Fire Marshal's office. Hopefully somebody's going to get invited to that. The Chiefs Association of Football can have some input, but I'm not looking forward. That's not looking good at this point. Fireworks legislation is going to be reintroduced probably in the spring. And we have the Fire Safety Expo is in March. If you haven't seen that, we have that on our website. I don't think so.
But we do have flyers
We
out
have
there.
flyers out there. That's the March class that Ohio Fire Expo and Campus Fire Safety Week is next month. They're having it's a 2-day thing. There's all kinds of content classes in there that are, some that are for DPS credit, and some that are for inspector credits. 2 days down in Columbus. Ohio inspectors rate is $99 for 2 days, and includes your lunch. So that's not a bad deal. And the other thing is I talked to, we're going to have an educational seminar at the Ohio Fire Chiefs Conference this year, which is down in Columbus. And Friday is going to be a fire inspector con-ed day. We don't have the classes set up yet, but I talked to them, and we have the room and we have lunch already. And there'll be in a fall meeting at the March Fire Expo meeting and a meeting at the July Chiefs Conference.
Any questions about a FOA for Mike Cocan? But they're trying to resurrect the FOA to get more involvement from all areas of the state to address these hot topics of the lockdown issue, the smoke alarms, and the like. Legislation for fireworks. You know, when the fire marshal's office was staying silent on it, that the fire prevention group would at least speak up, you know, for it. Dan?
I guess I just have a question. I mean, why did they have to trade off having the emergency drills? Why did they have to cut those down? Why did they just add their lockdowns?
Well, that's a very interesting observation, Dan. It caught all of us by surprise. The marshal's office supposedly knew that there was going to be some changes coming down the pike. None of the fire prevention organizations knew anything about it, and it was the educators that pushed it through their state legislators to reduce those numbers from the fire side and increase the lockdown for emergency disaster without really any input from the fire prevention side of things from at least the local AHJs, which was a little frustrating.
So, as this goes forward, this comes out with the new code, or is this something that go into effect? I mean, we're still in the 2011 fire code, right?
Yeah, no, I think this is going to be, do we have an actual date yet of when it's?
It takes place, it's going to go in for the next school year. Next school year, the 15-16 school year, this takes effect.
But if we don't have
Yeah, and I think it's officially signed as of April 1st, I believe is the date.
But if
They're
we
not
go
gonna-
by the fire code, I mean, if we're to, so that's gonna be
It's changed to the Ohio Revised Code.
What's that?
It's a change to the Ohio Revised Code, so it's going to supersede the fire code.
So that part's null and void then?
It's done.
At that point in our fire code,
Right.
it's requiring that monthly drill.
State law, right.
And that's what the frustrating thing was. A lot of the guys at OFOA now are saying, we need to get someone monitoring state legislation, so when these kind of things try to go push through late duck session, that we have an eye on it, just like the fireworks, because sometimes the marshal's office gets so political and things don't get, you know, as a marshal, he's not able to or doesn't speak out on it, where some of the local authorities or fire prevention groups, and that's one of the things that OFOA is trying to target by saying that they represent all these different fire prevention organizations. You pay for us, last year we had 182 members, pay $1 a person. It just lets them know how many cities they're representing when they speak as a FOA to our state legislators. So, when you get those kind of numbers, so they see it's just not 8 guys in a FOA, they represent, just like I represent you as 182 members representing I don't know how many fire departments, that we can convey that message when we're talking to state legislators.
Yeah, we were told they made the decision because someone down the state, one of the political parties stated that we haven't had a child die in a school in 30 years, so why do we need to practice so much? That's how that all started, and that's how they reduced it.
Is maybe
Recorded on their,
So I'm pretty sure though, if we follow the guidelines of the state fire marshal's office, that's the minimum. The city can then still require their school system, or try to do more, do the same as they've always had, or just don't tell them, because they don't read the paper anyways.
well played, Sean.
That's what I'm doing, I'm
But
not
yeah,
telling them.
isn't that crazy? We haven't lost a child in a school due to fire. It has nothing to do with all the practice that we do, with it. So I guess it's going to take another child die and then they'll move them up again to 1 a month. Doesn't make sense.
History repeats itself.
Yeah, exactly. Good point, Dan. Education Committee, Sean Lutz, please.
March will be here, same place. It's going to be Randy from Acquire Fire. We're going to be doing hood systems. And April will be on the webpage by the end of this week. I'm just waiting to hear confirmation back. April, we're back at Embassy Suites. So here for March, April is Embassy Suites. And in May, we'll be doing fireworks, hopefully. We are doing them, it's just the date, we don't know yet.
The date and all the logistics we're in the process of working out. We do want, because you guys have wanted it, it's been a good class. We're still working on all the logistics for the fireworks seminar. New business. Gino Garcia-Polo, if you would please share with us some of your journeys dealing with the Board of Building Standards and the RCAC. A Cliff Note version, because this man is a wealth of knowledge. He could talk about it when you see what Mayfield Village has had to gone through.
Okay, so back in May of 2013, Mayfield Village received correspondence from Board of Building Standards that our local legislation pertaining to residential smoke alarm installation was in conflict with the state residential construction. And Mayfield Village, as well as Shaker Heights, Sugar and Falls, received similar correspondence. Mayfield Village was the only community that responded back and argued with them. So that spurred a chain of events, which, Northeast Ohio Fire Prevention came and monitored. Lieutenant Mike Garbino, my fire marshal, assisted me, and we went. We presented the Residential Construction Advisory Committee with 1.5-inch binders with a bunch of technical data related to smoke alarm sensing technology to educate the Residential Construction Advisory Committee and the Board of Building Standards with why our local ordinance was, we felt, appropriate to help reduce the risk of fire deaths in Ohio. We went, I think, 5 or 6 times to different meetings to present in front of different groups of people, and ultimately the decision where the law change has landed all comes back to, I think, 3 things, and those 3 things are education, time, and politics. So we educated them that there is a difference in sensing technology. It took them time to absorb the material, and while they haven't fully bought into the level that we feel is appropriate based on the technical data, they also haven't had a lot of time to absorb that information. And it was hard for us to absorb that information when we first heard about what technological differences there were in sensing technology. So as much as, the state made movement, and this legislation was recently passed on Friday to amend the residential construction code, so any new constructed homes are going to require a combination of both photoelectric and ionization detection on every level of the home. Also, outside of any bedroom areas, they're going to require that you have photoelectric detection, and there is an exclusionary clause in there that allows smoke detector systems, so alarm systems, to use photoelectric only technology, because you currently cannot buy a smoke detection system that includes ionization sensing technology. That language will be, I believe, beginning enforcement in April of this year, and I guess that pretty much sums it up. The politic part of it is pretty thick, it's pretty dirty. There's a lot of different fingers or tentacles involved with it, so it's kind of like an octopus, and lots of different people have their position, and they're, some of them have a lot of power in the state of Ohio. So they're able to manipulate things and, not go the full distance, which is where our local legislation is where they also want to justify, in my opinion, cooperation between their design process. So us recommending language to the state of Ohio doesn't necessarily fit the mold of what they're looking for, so they wanted that language change to come from their own board or group. So I believe that's why we ended where we did. But it is a positive step, and I do believe that it is going to decrease the fire death rate in any new constructed home in Ohio. So it is a big step. It's the first time they've amended the RCO in Ohio since the inception in 2007 because of a local ordinance. So that's it. Is that good?
Very good, no. And job well done by Mayfield Village, between Chief Mike and his legal team and the support of the city fathers, that they fought for their home rule. When we talked to the RCAC subcommittee, they just blew us off. We aren't changing anything. Same thing with the whole RCAC panel. When we made the president, when they appealed it to the Board of Building Standards, it took it to the next level. Those people start listening, reviewing the facts, and then they told the RCAC, you better adopt some legislation for us, type of thing. But it was all because of Mayfield Village's persistence with it, and I think we're going to have a positive step in the right direction. So, but thank you, Chief. Thank you, Mike. Job well done. Mike, you're working with Devin on some of the current state legislation beyond the what's in the building code. So, a brief update with that, please.
Devin and I have been working with Senator Sykes' office since mid last year, I think we started May or June of last year. We're winding things up. The legislation is pretty much finished. It's going to apply to existing structures, some new construction, and residential rental property. Right now, it's with the Legislative Commission, and they're coming up with an executive summary of the bill. So when that executive summary is available, then we're going to make that available to all of you. We're going to get that executive summary to you so that you can see what the bill is actually all about. Hopefully everybody will be in support of it. As far as the time frame goes, I really don't know, because that's out of our hands. It's with the legislators, but we're in contact with them all the time. In fact, I emailed back and forth with Senator Sykes' aide this morning. So it's coming. Hopefully it's going to augment what's already happened at the Board of Building Standards for 1, 2, and 3 family homes.
Awesome. Thank you for all your efforts, Mike and Devin. Devin's working with the senator's office from the beach down in Florida, working with Mike, and the aide said it's like there's a lot of wind there. Where are you at? And that's why Devin's has the suntan here. But thank you for all your efforts, even when you're on vacation, sir. Thank you. The fireworks legislation, obviously, Deb, for now, we're going to continue to follow that. As soon as we have more information, and whatever the proposed bill number is going to be, we'll get the information, start digesting it, get some feedback from you, and we'll represent you down at the state level if needed to convince them on the potential shortcomings of whatever legislation that may be put in front of us. News Channel 5 approached us again to do another story on 9-volt smoke alarms, or not, excuse me, 9-volt batteries for the smoke alarms. I worked with Joe Fleming and some of the guys from the Broadview Heights Fire Department. His chief was very supportive. That should be airing the second week of February. They approached us as a go-to organization, and you'll see another presentation coming down the works from Channel 5. Anything else for new business before we move on? I don't have any old business. Oh. Yeah, good of the order. We've had a couple new faces from the State Fire Marshal's office, and please don't take any offense if we're attacking your boss or the system. But just real quick, Dave Lawrence, he's covering the east side of Cuyahoga County. So those of you who haven't had a chance to meet him yet, that's Dave. And Attorney Bryant, and what counties do you cover for the state?
Right now, Trumbull, Mahoning, and Columbia.
Excellent. Well, welcome. Thank you. Just a quick reminder, the 2015 dues are still need to be paid for those who haven't done so. There's applications on our website. I failed to tell you folks back in December and then in January who our 2014 NEOFPA scholarship recipients were. My apologies, but they went to Victoria Scott. She's going to be going to Wheeling Jesuit University. She is the daughter of Terry Scott with Cleveland Fire Department and Mentor Fire Department. She received a check for $1,000 to Wheeling Jesuit University. Our second recipient was Kelsey Garbino. What year is she going into, Mike? Junior at Ohio State, but obviously the daughter of Mike Garbino from Mayfield Village Fire Department. And then the last recipient, we only had 3 applications, so all 3 of them got a $1,000 scholarship. The last entry was Jake Ness, the son of Paul Ness from Northfield Village. I'm sorry, Neese. I apologize. Jake Neese. And Jake is at the University of Mount Union. So checks had been sent to the different colleges already on behalf of those recipients. Real quick, Devin has a 7-year-old computer that he's using to try to keep everything up to date with our website. As we all know, the technology usually goes for 3 to 5 years. It's time to approach the membership to get a new Mac computer for Devin to keep our website current, as well as the Mac technology is going to work better for maintaining the website with our webmaster, Dave Kuhart. But unfortunately, it's about a $1,700 purchase. So we need to take it to the membership to get a new computer so we can keep you well informed. Motion, Jim? You want to put a motion on the floor,
I'll
please?
make a motion to spend the $1,700 to purchase the secretary new computer.
And that's up to $1,700. It may be able to, what, no taxes and the like, get it a little bit less, but second by Mark Maneri. Any discussion? Any discussion on a new computer for our secretary? Going once? Going twice? 3 times? All in favor? Aye. Any against? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. And just real quick, lastly, Brook Park Fire has a vote on the ballot today. And I only bring this up not to get politically involved, but it could affect any of us career firefighters in this room, firefighters, paramedics. They are looking, Mayor Coyne is looking to get rid of their paramedics, reduce their manning, do the paramedic service to private, and they have already closed 2 stations. they're trying, this vote is to try to keep one at their far west end open. But just to keep informed, once one of these mayors get doing, some of these things, that seat gets planted and, who knows what could take off. Just something to be aware of for our fire department services with the paramedics. Good luck with Brook Park today. So, anything else? If not,
Yes. The school here was granted for whatever to go to nationals, which is in California. They had to swallow a $15,000 bill. I'd like to have us vote for a $500 donation to the school. It's actually a cost savings from embassy to here anyway, so really it's no skin off our back. But $500 to go to the school, but we need the body to vote. So.
okay, motion by Sean. Is that in a motion form, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, second by Mike. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any against? Okay, Joe, if you give Steve the right checkouts, it's great. Thank you for reminding me, Sean, I appreciate it. Well, that pie in Alamode is looking really good, Cisco, for me. So, since you had a chance to eat yours, I'd have to take a chance to eat mine. But all the way in from Boston, Massachusetts, like I said, he's been here since Saturday. He's really wanted to talk to us. And after learning about the fire escapes like I did last night, going out to dinner with them, I think you're going to find that it's a very informative presentation. Thank you, sir.
So let's start off with any last minute questions about footballs. Okay, bury that. Good. All right. Everybody got a book? Please come up here and grab a book. If anybody can grab one last book. If anybody wants to hit that corner switch on there, kill the lights on that end completely, you'll get a chance to see the slides better. And if somebody can on that side, hit the switch down at the other end and just leave the middle open, you'll have plenty of light.
I screwed up today.
Uh-oh.
Real quick. Why didn't you guys let me do this? We forgot to start our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. And thank you. Who's the sergeant of the Patriots here with us.
We're the Patriots.
If we could all stand, please, real quick. Thank you for bringing my
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So, let's do this. Again, the class is going to be, normally I teach this class, I'll give you a little bit of history of who I am. I teach this class from Seattle to San Diego. I've taught it from Chicago to Texas, and I've taught it from Maine to Florida. Fire prevention. Out of the 50 states, 40 states really is run by fire prevention. About 10 states are run by building departments. And guess where I get my best response? With the guys that where it matters. So this is where I get all my best responses. And a lot of the classes that we do are recorded, and then we put it up on our website. So if you have some people that didn't come to this meeting, but you want to watch this meeting, it's going to be online for them. And it's free. You don't have to sign in. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to leave a credit card number. And so let me give you a little bit of history on who I am. I got hijacked into this. My dad's still in the ironworks business, so I got hijacked when I was 12. So before I do the math, I got over 40 years of this. I got a master's degree in reverse stupidity. That means I don't know what to do. I've done all the wrong things, and that's what I'm here to share with you. So I'm like a little whistleblower of all the wrong things and what they cause. And so with that, you get to the point where now the only thing left to do is the right things to do. But this is called the bastard child of egress. So some of the stuff I'm going to show you today, it's just not here. It's everywhere in the U.S., coast to coast. So a lot of times when I do a class, and I've taught fire prevention, my best cities you'd think would be Massachusetts, right? But my two best states is actually Portland, Oregon, and New Jersey. New Jersey has written some of the best fire codes because they've had some of the worst horrific catastrophes, and they've written some of the best code from there because usually it's after a catastrophe you write the best code. And Portland, Oregon, I spent almost 10 years to show you what you're showing here today. So if you want us, we can have a 10-year program with you, or you can just copy the wheel. I'll give you the guy's name, Stu, over there, and we've had everything thrown at us. The political backlash, the tenants, the owners, everybody that's associated with the pushback that you're going to get. So we're just gonna basically, and a lot of times these classes that I teach is 4 to 6 hours. So I teach fire prevention through Kane University in the entire state of New Jersey. It's a 6-hour class, right after pie. All right? And so you can imagine how long, but this is gonna be, 1 to 2 hour class. I'll stay here as long as you guys wanna keep talking about it. But what I'm gonna do, this is sort of the bullet race. I'm just gonna show you slides, and I'm gonna run this backwards. I'm gonna tell you what the solution is right off the bat. Then we're gonna work backwards and keep talking how we got to the solution. That way, in case we run out of time, you already know where it needs to go, and who to call, and who to either copy. So this is nothing more than just a copy class. So this is the bastard child of egress, out of sight, out of mind. And the cure is very simple. It took 75 years to screw this up. And you guys have your own internal cure, right? Everybody here knows that in most fire departments, the chief tells all the guys coming in, so the gray-haired guys tell the new guys, in case of fire, don't use the fire extinguisher. See? So there's already code for this. Don't fix it, just don't use it. So that's what the problem is. So now, fire escapes have been out there, and everybody sort of said, you know what, if we can't get a handle on it, just stop using it. So what we need to do is, we need to get a door-to-door program where you guys walk into every building now, knock on the doors and tell the tenants the same thing. In case of fire, don't use the fire escape. So if that's gonna be the cure, that's all you guys have to do. Your firemen already know not to use it, just now let's get the public aware not to use it, or let's use some of these programs. My job is here is to show you some of the things that you're gonna have. That doesn't mean you need more work. You guys already are understaffed, and you're not overpaid. Right? And so what happens is we need to make something that fire escapes find you. You don't find fire escapes anymore. They're going to come and find you. And we're going to work with fire prevention, building department, housing, health department, and basically these things will find these people, and then you'll get the eventual notice that something's happening at this address. Okay? So let's start first of all right here to the book. Okay? Actually, if you want to watch this one piece, this happened in just this past year. In 2014, there was more activity, fire escape-wise, than I've ever seen in my entire lifetime. And a lot of it was always tragic activity and tragic events. Ready? So, if that light is down, that light is down. This is in Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Firefighters were taking down the ladders and rolling up the hoses. But earlier in the night, when they pulled up, there were flames coming out of the side of the building. Firefighters say it was one of the scarier moments, because when you pull up to a building and you see children and mothers hanging off the side of the fire escape, smoke swirling around them, they said that's scary, scary stuff. They got up there, they got the ladders up, and they said nobody got hurt. The fire escape, there was 3 or 4 people hanging off the fire escape. They couldn't get off. They were just on the fire escapes. I had people hanging in the fire escapes at the rear of the building, and on this side of the building, we had a bunch of people on that fire escape. Well, about 50 people were displaced inside this building. Our firefighters say there's good news tonight. It looks like everybody will be allowed to go back in, except the one unit where the fire was in. They said, that's good luck to them tonight. I'm Bob Wilson, on the scene of Bridgeport, News 8.
Isn't that great? So, every fire escape failed, and they let everybody back in the building at the end of the night. And if you saw in that photograph, the child, an 8-year-old child, your 8-year-old child was coming down a fire escape ladder, which, by the way, did not want to work, because it's supposed to come down to the ground and hit the ground. So there was an 8-year-old child that you teach what? How to jump? 10 to 12 feet to the ground? And how many people, he had people stuck on the fire escape in the back, he had people stuck on the fire escape in the front. So when they got there with all those nice shiny red trucks, fighting a fire or a rescue mission? So right now, everybody's in rescue mode, whereas what do fire escapes do? Are they there for you, or are they there for the clients to self-egress out of there? Self-evacuate. So all of a sudden, how many minutes does a fire need to fully engulf a whole building? And get even worse, so that when you guys go in with your gas masks, what happens now? Now you're giving that fire 3 to 5 minutes because you spent time taking ladders off your truck, getting the ladders on the truck, because the ladders that are on the fire escape don't come down anymore. So after you finally get everybody off, now who do they send into the building to go fight the fire that's already got 5 minutes on you now? Right? So at the end, like you said, hey, everything worked out. We put everybody back in the building except for that one fire, that one apartment that burnt down. This is common. That, the fire escape. So if you don't have your second means of egress, what's supposed to happen on that building? Everybody out. You don't have a second means of egress. I went to this fire escape 6 months later. I investigated this building because they finally got around to having it inspected. The ownership did. Every fire escape had life safety issues. 6 months to a year later, they still haven't fixed any of them. So these things happen. So let's talk about the book. Let's start on all the pages. So again, I'm going to tell you what the cures are, and then we're going to work backwards and we're going to fill it in. So as you can see here, page 1, we can give this to you in PDF form or Word form, and then you can eliminate anything that's on here if you don't want anybody's name on here. And you can put your own information. So this is a sample that we did for the city of Lowell, like a sample city. So we can have, if we have a model city here, we would do this for you. We'd make one of these up for you. And of course, eliminate any and all information associated with, National Firescape Association. So it would just be your city names and phone numbers and everything, right? But here's the key. If you read the first part that says inspections, the firescapes must be examined by a design professional or others acceptable to the building official. So what's it say on there? It said it gives you the guidelines of what that inspector is supposed to do. What's number 2? Number 2 says you're a repair vendor. Hey, repair vendor, there's some guidelines that we want you to follow with the guidance of your design professional. What's number 3? Number 3 says paint. Painting, it says that the EPA said in 2010 all firescapes older than 78 have lead on them, which means what? Can you bring a flame to anything that has lead? So all the welding guys, can they show up at firescapes anymore and put Band-Aids on firescapes like they've been doing for 50 years? And do they remove the rust when they Band-Aid with a welding rod? No. So 98% of all the firescapes in the U.S. are bolted and riveted firescapes. Were they ever meant to be welded or repaired with a weld, or just pop that rivet, pop that bolt, put a new bolt back in? That's all they were ever made. So the EPA now doesn't allow. So if you are driving along, you see somebody pulling welding cables up to a fire escape, what's going to happen? Well, the same thing happened in Boston. They just did that this summer. You guys heard 2 firemen died on a windy day because the guys were welding on a fire escape. We'll show that today. Got it? All right, so that's number 1. Number 2, let's talk about lead safe. Well, the EPA just says you can't bring a flame. Okay? Number 3, we're going to talk about OSHA. OSHA says that during 1910.37, which we'll note, and you need to note it on your documentation, OSHA says that during renovations, alterations, and repairs of any building, you must maintain 2 means of egress that are certified. And if your second means of egress, which is usually an external fire escape, is compromised in any way, it doesn't shut down the site. Scaffolding can be ordered that meets the building and the fire department's requirements with full staircases inside, and they can continue working. But that fire escape is taken out of the equation. So you either get your permit because you have 2 means of egress, or you get your permit because you've ordered scaffolding so you can have 2 means of egress. We'll talk about that today. This is a confidence test. A confidence test is not an opinion affidavit. It's not, hey, I think it looks all right. We're not wearing my sunglasses that day from a design professional or an inspector. It's not an opinion. This is a checklist. Now, they brought me into Seattle when I made this for them because there wasn't one. So I had to create one because some of the stuff had to be invented. And you'd think that if anybody, did anybody get the, in September, the NFPA 100 Years of Fire Escape magazine? In September, they put it out, celebrating 100 years of fire escapes. And we got the article, and so fire escapes have been around for 100 years, and nobody's ever put together a confidence test for it. So only after 4 people almost fell to their death, nobody died. But from a fire escape, so I created a confidence test that says that all design professionals and others acceptable to the building official need to fill out a checklist item that says there is no rust, there is nothing compromised, the welds have been either x-rayed or load tested, the through bolt into the building has been investigated. So this is a confidence test. So if you go online right now, you don't have to copy this, I don't have to send you this. You go online to Seattle or Portland, you type in fire prevention, you go to their website, they have not only confidence tests for this, they have confidence tests for sprinklers, for alarms, for all, steal everything. Don't just steal this one, steal everything they got there. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Exams. When you have a fire escape that it's going to be looked at, you want photos. It doesn't have to be pretty. You don't have to put it in a pretty formatted form like this. I need 4 per page from the design professional or others acceptable to the building official, sent to me in hard copy and in email form. So you don't have to go all the way down to whatever building they're talking about, because in your office, your iPhone and your computer, you can just look at the problem and say, you know what, that looks like a mess. So everybody that is an investigator of any kind, they all have a digital camera and a digital phone, and believe me, they can give you the photos you need. Anything over so many cubic feet, what is it, 30,000 here, 32, 35 cubic, needs design professional oversight. It's all on your forms. Every state has these forms already. So if you're dealing with a 5 or 10-story building, you need to have engineer oversight while they're fixing that fire escape. This right here is what is the criteria to fix a fire escape, not to patch weld it. You know, you've got rust in the connection. What do you got to do? You got to open it up, remove 100% of that rust. You got to wire brush both ends of the metal. You got to spray primer that metal, and then before you put that back together, you inject it with 35 to 50 year silicone so you can encapsulate it and get a minimum of a 10-year warranty on all your repair work. What about the surface rust? Like any rusty bolt, what do you do when you bring it into port? You throw some guy over and you give him what? A scraper and a paintbrush, because that's surface rust. Can a fire escape that has surface rust be load tested? The answer is yes, because it's still going to get painted. But can a fire escape with internal rust and in any of its connections be load tested? The answer is no. So this is two things. Fire escapes must be structurally sound, must be kept painted. They're kept painted. You can have the owner do his own painting, scrape it and paint it. In some cases, the EPA even gets into that. If an owner's going to do his own fire escape, but we'll cross that bridge at another time. This right here is a Boston affidavit. This is what the city of Boston wants you to submit in the city of Boston. So that in case the fire escape is good, there's one problem in the city of Boston. They let people with a G3 license, and I have one, fix the fire escape and sign off on your own work. How great is that? And then you sign a thing that says, to the best of my information, knowledge, and belief, the fire escape is in conformity with the building code. What's that mean? Is the fox in the hen house or what? So let's do that. I'm trying to get all electricians and plumbers to join my side, and everybody sign off on their own work to make it easier for all the inspectors. Got it? So that's an opinion affidavit. By the way, this is what you're asking for now. Every time you guys ask for a design professional to tell you that the fire escape is okay, he's giving you an opinion, and you look for this. He writes this at the very last page. To the best of my information, knowledge, and belief, the fire escape is in conformity with the code. It's ready for its intended use. Was there a load test? Was there a critical investigation or evaluation of any kind? Or was this an eyeball test? Eyeball test will put firemen and tenants on the ground. Fast, right? So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how fire escapes. They're 100 years old. Any new innovations to fire escapes in 100 years? None. The way I built one today and the way they built one in the 1900s is the same exact way. And they've been building fire escapes since 1850. We're going to talk about catwalks. You know that the code says that all means of egress must be complete to grade. So when you see a fire escape ladder that is 8 feet from the ground, is that the code, or did somebody forget the last portion of it? So the code says you can't have a fixed piece no more than 8 feet off the ground, because there's a continuation of that using a cantilevered ladder or a cantilevered stair. But so some people read it to that point, and so a lot of fire escapes out there make grandma jump 8 feet. Got it? So all fire escapes. So, and over roofs, you go out a window onto a flat roof full of snow, you're supposed to go to a corner and jump 10 feet down. You can't. All fire escapes must have continuous walkway to a public way. And the last 8 feet has to be a drop ladder or a cantilevered ladder. If it's going to be cantilevered and it's in an alleyway, now you got to bring it up 12 to 14 feet. Because now trash trucks are going to come down and rip those things to the ground. But in certain areas, you can have the last piece of the fixed ladder 8 feet. But now you must have a slide ladder coming down if it's grandfathered in, because you can't do ladders anymore. Okay? We were going to talk about cantilevers. And that people are still building fire escapes today. So remember the code. Any new construction can have a fire escape on it. New construction, dig a hole in the ground, brand new construction. Can you include fire escapes in that? Nope. Anytime you build a brand new structures, no fire escapes are allowed. How about pre-existing structures? Can you make fire escapes one of the solutions? After you've exhausted all means of putting it inside, can you have fire escapes? So fire escapes are around because a lot of people are keeping their buildings. And how long can you maintain an existing fire escape as the day it was originally installed? Without any modifications to make it 42, without any modifications to make the bars 4 inches. How long can you maintain a pre-existing fire escape? For the life of the building. Okay? Let's talk about these tags. City of Seattle. Every fire escape has a tag. So when the firemen are running in the middle of the night, and this is to combat the, in case of fire, don't use the fire escape. So you're running down a smoky alleyway, and you get to a fire escape in Seattle and in Portland, and there's a white tag attached 7 to 10 feet off the ground. And I'm going to show you what one of those look like. And it's white. What do the firemen do? Do they need to wait for the truck, get the ladder out of their truck? Or they just get on it, do whatever they have to do. Get on it. If it has a yellow, what's it mean? It's under maintenance. It's got some deficiencies, but there's no life safety concerns. If it's got a red, what do you got? What's the issue? It's an empty building, because if it's got a red and they still have people in it, who's liable? Besides the building owner. The cities, if you allow a building that doesn't have a second means of egress to be continuously occupied, what happens? Now, if they have a fire escape that's bad and it's got a red, can we set up some scaffolding and have some temporary means of egress so they can keep their building open? So don't have to necessarily shut down building. Your first card that you pull is scaffolding to basically negate the need of that fire escape. And on the inside, you just block it off. Any windows of the fire escape, you block it off, and you create an alternative means of egress. Okay? On the back, what you have there is what happened in 1972 in the city of Boston, which had the IBC code. Fire escapes must be evaluated, tested, or certified, and they forgot about it for so long, and it wasn't until this fireman almost lost his life. That picture there is won a Pulitzer Prize for that picture. But the woman had to die in order for the guy to get that shot. The niece survived. The fireman who was waiting for the truck ladder to come over grabbed it with one hand and saved himself. So if you got this book, put it in your office somewhere in case somebody wants to argue with you why fire escapes shouldn't be a big deal. But they are the bastard child of egress. It was only then, after this collapse, that they put in the 5-year rule. Because prior to then, and still in today, there is no 5-year rule, other than the rule that just came out of the IFC for 2012, which says that all buildings now in the U.S. must be inspected every 5 years. We'll talk about that code today. How many of you are aware that 2012 IFC said that all fire escapes, all buildings with fire escapes must be inspected every 5 years? How many of you were aware of that? See? Nobody knew. You know how I found out? I was in Utah teaching a class on fire escape collapses. And somebody bring it up, so it's not like we always know. Some of this stuff has to be sort of injected back into certain groups so you guys can get the word out. This is Portland. If you go on the internet right now, let's go back one. This is Portland. If you guys go online right now to any internet and you type in fire escape issues, Portland, Oregon, everything I'm about to tell you that's in this book, because I've taught there for 10 years. I've worked with their fire department and fire prevention, primarily fire prevention, for 10 years. They finally introduced this 2 to 3 years ago, and now it's a state. What you're seeing here is what was introduced into their state code. So if you want to know how to fix fire escapes, low test fire escapes, everything, well, everything that we've ever done, they finally got it into the state code. So one state down, 49 to go. So I don't have to tell you what to do, just go copy Oregon. Stu White, hey Stu, tell me all the problems I'm going to have. Who's going to spit first, who's going to kick second, and who's... And so, again, the wheel is already invented. Just go copy it. All right, so everything here is happening somewhere. Is it happening somewhere at 100%? No. Is it happening enough everywhere so that you can copy and then modify your model and make it fit yours? The answer is yes. So it's all common sense stuff. Everything I'm about to show you, you already know. You just didn't know you knew it until I show you. So a lot of times, if you write a fire escape violation, where do you go and what code would you use? Anybody know what code you'd use in case you're writing a fire escape violation in your state? So that's why people don't write one. If you don't know where it is, you write something else. You want to write a fire escape violation, but because you don't know what code, you write another violation on something else, and then you mention in passing the fire escape issue at that building, right? But here's your code. Now, this is something Mike sent me. So let's read what it says. 4604, if you want to write this down, everybody got their pens out? This is what you're going to write as your violation. Basically, if you're making a new one, it's got to be made of non-combustible and it's got to be 100 pounds. But then as you read along, the fire code official is authorized to require testing or other satisfactory evidence that the fire escape meets the requirements of this paragraph. So it says the fire code official is authorized to require testing. When? Every now and then? Every 5 years? Is there any cyclical activity here that you can see? Or so if it ain't broke or you don't know about it, guess what's going to happen? It's never going to get fixed. If you're never back there looking at it, it's never going to get fixed. But who has the authority here, right off the bat, to require testing? What kind of testing? Eyeball testing? Wing testing? Send me a photograph testing? Jump up and down on it testing? What kind of testing? Well, let's take a look at the NFPA. And the safety code, if you have a reference to safety code, it's right there, 101.7.2.8.6.2. The authority having jurisdiction shall be permitted to approve any existing fire escape stair that has been shown by load test or other satisfactory evidence to have adequate strength. What's that mean? So they say test in your code, but now down below they further clarify it by saying the word what? Load test. And by the way, if I built it to 100 pounds per square foot, what should the test be? 100 pounds per square foot. So if I got a 5x5 platform, that's 25 square feet, times 100 pounds per square foot. The day I build it, it's got to hold how many pounds that day? 2,500. 25 years later, how many pounds it's got to hold? 2,500. Let's do a quick thing. I did this with John yesterday. Ready? Your tables are all 4x4, right? But let's say it's about 5x5. That's 2,500 pounds, right? Your average fireman weighs 200 pounds plus 100 pounds of gear. He's 300 pounds. 5 of those firemen weigh how much? 1,500. Can I fit 5 fully outfitted with tank firemen in a 5x5 on a fire escape? And if I could, if we squeezed them all in there and I squeeze those 5, I still have room for how many more? So fire escapes are built just enough or overbuilt, over-engineered. Now let's get those firemen out because now we're getting everybody evacuating the building. So now I got a 150-pound average tenant in the building. And I bring 10 tenants out already onto this 5x5. How many pounds is that? 1,500. How many pounds can that really hold? Can I get 10 tenants in a 5x5? So is this again over-engineered for both the tenants and the firemen? So a properly